I think it was quite delighted to hear Mr. Kaniyathan's speech. So in essence, he has set the stage in terms of what I would like to address. So I said, okay, let me limit the topic to what I know, essentially in the mobility industry. And it's a critical component of the whole logistics ecosystem. As talked about Mr. Majumdar, the logistics is quite a vast area. It actually touches lives of people across multiple domains. So I will limit myself to mobility, so essentially how we move people or goods, essentially in this case goods, and then limit my talk to specifically on the technologies that are coming in here. So only addition I will make to what Mr. Kaniyathan talked about was, in addition to ACE, I will say space now. So I'm going to talk about shared in addition to autonomous, connected and electric, which is not a new concept for the folks in the logistics industry because most of the stuff is shared. So essentially whether you are taking the goods, it's not dedicated, you are actually trying to connect the consignor and the consignee, trying to see how you are able to take it optimally, efficiently with reduced operating economics. So without much ado, let me go to the slide. So in terms of the impact of mobility on logistics, so what are the key drivers from my perspective when I look at it? Key thing is in terms of the transportation efficiency. So this is a very, very strong driver of cost. So when I'm talking about cost optimization, it's looking at reducing the cost or increasing the revenue. So this is something which is a very, very key driver, whether with moving people or goods. And the other thing is in terms of the predictability and the safety. So you're looking at how do you move goods safely and also have a consistent level of services so that you'll be able to have a very clear predictability. And as we keep going along, as was mentioned by the earlier speaker, we're also looking at how do you do it in a sustainable mode. So if you're looking at how do you get cleaner technologies to do all these things. And one of the key things that's happening over the past decade or so is you're looking at a lot of technologies that are coming together. So if you're looking at what you have, many of you have in your hands or in your pockets, the smartphone. So this is essentially what we used to define as a supercomputer when I started my career a long time. So this is like 3-4 decades ago. The amount of computing power each one of us is carrying in a mobile phone is a level of power that was defined as a supercomputer. And this has opened up a lot of vistas. And again, what you have, the computing power in your hand, the smartphone, you're not just doing only for talking. So if you're looking at the phone, it's actually serving multiple functions for you, whether it is the data which is getting in there, whether it's a camera, whether it's a networking that you're going on with it. So this has essentially created a lot of disruptions and possibilities. And India is not immune to it. So we cannot be isolated. We have been integrating the global economy. How do you actually leverage this? The challenge for us is how do you do it in an affordable manner and make these technologies accessible. So if you're looking at from our perspective, the key challenges that are coming in, as I talked about, how do you improve the operating economics? The real problem in India, as mentioned earlier, is also the air quality, the emissions. So I think we are getting the BS6 coming in April 1st, but a lot of other things which are also polluting the environment. So if you're talking about from the transportation sector, how do you improve the air quality? Not just from a statutory point of view, but also from a social point of view, because this really impacts the health costs and all the other associated costs of having poor air quality, and how do you actually create sustainable mobility as we keep going forward. Having said that, we also have the issue of tremendous infrastructure constraints. So many of these technologies, it's not just dependent only on one sector. So there has to be a real orchestration of the ecosystem for us to make this happen in our country. And finally, while we talk about going into electric, I think the clear thing is also energy security. So we are a net importer of oil, or now if we go into lithium ion, again, that is again a huge import bill. How do we actually as a country create this energy security, sustainable environment, and also make these technologies accessible and affordable. So what I will talk about is all these technologies, what are the things that is really making an impact in the mobility segment. So I just thought this is a good slide to share. This is more of a global perspective. You can actually see the top 12 technologies looking at 2025. Many of them we are using in some form or the other, but the impact it is going to make on businesses across the world is tremendous. Is it a challenge or is it an opportunity for India? I'm an optimist. I would say it's an opportunity for us because the Western countries, they have legacies that have been built in. We are starting afresh, so we don't have that much legacy to break down. So there is a huge opportunity that if we get this right, and the solution has to be an Indian solution, not a Western solution that is imported, because more often than not, it will not work here. How do we actually create this intellectual property for India? And once we create it successfully, we have an opportunity to actually make this solution for the globe. So coming back to the topic, so I talked about CASE. Essentially, there is connected, autonomous, shared, and electric. And what I will actually try to quickly go through is some of the use cases, specifically what we have been working at my company at Mahindra, and some experiences which we have had with several of our customers while we have been going through this journey. We are still in this journey. We are having early green shoots, but I think good opportunities for us to essentially looking at optimizing the way we do business. Each of the customers, how they do their business. Since I'm currently, my role is in farm, so I will also be preparing it with some examples from the farm sector. So I would assume the agri and the farm sector, like one of the future speakers today is going to be from Hudson, how they are also actually impacting on the logistics and the mechanization and the precision and the efficiencies that we bring in the farm, how will it impact the logistics. So starting with connected. So if I'm looking at the connected, I'm not just going to talk about just the vehicle. If you're looking at the full ecosystem of what we can actually do with this. And this is just essentially the potential use cases. All these things are India-centric. So this is something which we work with the customers. How do you create this platform? How do we integrate it? Go with the open system architecture. That's what will drive down your cost. And how can you actually not just help the fleet operator, but also help the driver by essentially connecting the data platform to all the ecosystem partners. And this is something I'm not just going to read out what is there on the side. It's self-explanatory. This is the impact that you can essentially have in a connected ecosystem on the commercial vehicle system. Similarly, if you're looking at the farm, you have a similar opportunity when you're actually getting a true connected platform. You can not just link the farm, but you can actually link all the way up to the mandi in terms of linking to the financial partners or the insurance players and the logistics partner. So this whole vehicle data platform that can actually enable multiple participants and stakeholders in the entire business value chain. So right from the farm to the fork, you have an opportunity to connect all the stakeholders, and that will significantly drive down the cost and improve the efficiency and predictability. So something that we have been working, so this is something we call as the DigiSense. We saw this connected platform. So this is 1.0. This was launched 2-3 years ago, so we'll be getting the 2.0 coming in another month or two. Is we have an opportunity in Mahindra where it's unique that we do from 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, trucks, bus, tractor, construction equipment, genset. Can we actually bring this whole connected platform across all these mobility sectors? And that's what we created this unified connected vehicle platform, which is an open architecture, and ensure that it is seamlessly integrating across functions. And similar to the smartphone, can you create all these use cases over the air updates? And then we essentially look at work with all the global partners and bring it at the price point which is significantly lower than what you get in the global market. So in essence, it's a multi-application, multi-product, multi-customer platform I'll just run through a very short video in terms of the potential benefits that this is more from a 1.0 since the 2.0 is not launched. I'll just show that video now.
Businesses that are spread across multiple sectors, I need to multitask. And thank God that I have Mahindra to look after my vehicular needs. Do you want to know the secret? It's the DigiSense technology by Mahindra. Every day, there are so many deliveries that need to be executed. All I have to do is enter the delivery locations and the route planning feature creates a delivery route for me. Trip optimization feature helps me keep a track of these deliveries. The route selected by the driver, the fuel usage, distance traveled and driving pattern analysis. I get all information then and there. When I rent out my tractor, I can monitor the engine running hours. Its geo-fencing feature helps me generate a virtual boundary over my plantation as the DigiSense technology helped me succeed in life. Out making the best of DigiSense technology by Mahindra.
So the second part of the case, which I'm going to talk about, is the shared mobility, which essentially is what the logistics mobility segment is already doing. So I'll get two use cases from what we are involved in. One is essentially Porter, whom many of you will know, is looking at optimizing the logistics and the fleet management using cutting-edge technology. And this is something which was started in 2014, touching around 3.5 million bookings, and it's quite a strong team of 300 people. So this is where we are able to essentially get the shared mobility platform using technology and trying to build efficiencies and bring the cost down. We have done a similar stuff on the tractor and the implement sharing part of it. So where people cannot, the farmers cannot afford the mechanization in terms of technology, how can you actually bring them onto a common platform by leveraging the technology? And this is something, it's a tractor and farm equipment rental service, so it's Stringo's Tractor Ring Karo. And the main objective for this is to increase the penetration of mechanization in the farm. So we have essentially got around 1.5 lakhs of farmers registered and more than 2.5 lakhs of farm mechanization. So I'll just quickly go through a couple of videos, one for Porter and one for Tringo, to just give you what they are trying to do in this field. So the third one, which I'll be talking about, is on the electric. So many of you know that we have quite a lot of presence. One of the first guys to get into electric mobility in India, and so we have quite a few products essentially on the electrification. So when you're looking at the shared mobility, was more for Uberization of the whole logistics part of thing. In the electric, you're looking at one way of how do you essentially get a cleaner sort of transportation. So one such example which we are doing, which will be for the intracity logistics transportation, is on the e-Supro. So this is also in the cargo van version. I couldn't get a better video, but I thought I'll just share this with you, what it can be done in terms of the e-Supro for the mobility.
Cargo van. India's first electric closed-body van, built for the modern city. It is a future-ready battery-powered cargo van with direct drive transmission. Ideal for e-commerce, courier services and transportation of high-value goods safely in a closed-body construction. The e-Supro has a payload capacity of up to 600 kilograms, which helps in carrying large quantities at one go. Coupled with low running cost and zero emission advantage of electric motor, the e-Supro is truly practical and eco-friendly. The e-Supro has a loading volume of 2,330 liters, making it the most spacious cargo van in India. The intelligent loading bay design makes the e-Supro ideal for carrying a variety of loads in all shapes and sizes.
So there's a lot of talk about electrification, and all of us know the constraints, whether it's a battery which is not able to sustain for the range, and also the infrastructure that needs to be put in place for the charging stations, everything. So another way of getting into a sustainable mobility is something that we worked on. So we already have alternate fuels that are actually powering many of your trucks or the buses across the country, so which is CNG. And that again, how do you actually create the CNG population higher, and without actually looking at the infrastructure constraints, is something which we said that can go into the generation part of it. Can we actually create this auto grade CNG? And one thing India has a lot is waste. So how do you create waste from wealth and create a sustainable ecosystem on this? So this is something which we did as a first project at now in our city, in Mahindra World City, at just off Chennai at MRV. So we collected all the waste in the whole city, and then we are converted into, and we tied up with IIT Delhi and the KVIC and created a plant, worked with the sewage treatment with the city, and converted that into an auto grade CNG. And that is something which I don't know, we have launched a separate company. So what we have done is we are doing it around 10 or 15 places where we will be able to generate the CNG from the waste that is being created. And the good part is the byproduct of this is essentially organic fertilizer, so which again is good for the society. So this is one thing which we have worked on to essentially look at the feedstock point of it to create a sustainable mobility. So I'll just show a quick video of what is there at Mahindra World City.
Swachh Bharat initiative is an end-to-end waste-to-energy solution. Segregated food waste arrives at the plant. It is then fed into state-of-the-art anaerobic digesters to form raw biogas. The raw biogas travels through a purification system, resulting in a more than 90% methane-rich auto-grade fuel called bio-CNG. The byproduct of the process forms organic nutrient-rich fertilizer. Prototype plant is now fully operational and supplying power to street lamps across Mahindra World City, Chennai. The auto-grade fuel powers vehicles India's first and only gas-driven tractor and the Mahindra Jeeto. Mahindra & Mahindra's Swachh Bharat Carbon Neutral Biogas venture is now scalable to provide urban energy self-reliance across large metropolitan areas. Swachh Bharat to Swasth Bharat. Mahindra &
So and the last part is essentially on the autonomous. So the question is, with all the traffic pattern and the congestion and the, what I would say, the heterogeneous traffic structure, is it really relevant for us? There are quite a few studies that have been done where there is a strong push for bringing in autonomous even in the Indian cities, but at different stages, levels of autonomy. So what I thought is just take a video of some of the trials. This has been quite prevalent in terms of the trucking industry globally. So whether it's a platooning of trucks or driverless autonomous trucks, a lot of experiments have been going. And I would say in Europe and in the US, it's quite mature. So it's not in the distant future. More likely than not, it will happen during our lifetime. Some level of autonomy, to the advanced degree of autonomy, we'll be able to witness it. So I thought I will share something which is from a global perspective, what is happening in one of the trial runs in US. So this is for the self-driving truck.
3 months, self-driving trucks have been hauling cargo back and forth between Phoenix and Tucson, Arizona. The tractor trailers are outfitted with 9 cameras as well as LiDAR sensors, those spinning contraptions often attached to the roofs of self-driving vehicles to help them see. The fleet is designed as level 4 autonomous trucking, which means all operations are automated. The driver and engineer are only on board as a fallback. The effort aims to reduce the cost of shipping by 30%, likely by eventually removing the human occupants once technology has been perfected. This isn't UPS's first foray into autonomous navigation. Earlier in the year, the company announced a program that will deliver medicine over short distances via drones. Meanwhile, FedEx has revealed an adorable robot for same-day deliveries, and Domino's is planning to use Nuro self-driving R2 vehicles later in the year. In other words, you're going to start seeing a lot more robots sometime in the near future. We just hope you keep your prejudices to yourself.
So in a sense, some level of autonomy will also come into the Indian segment, but for different reasons. So from what we have been working is, we started in the farm segment of how to bring autonomy, though that has a different driver. Even though a lot of people, we don't have skilled drivers, how do you actually maintain the precision, so this has a direct improvement on the yield. So we have one with the driver on the seat with the hands-free, then a quasi-driverless, and then a fully driverless tractor. So this is something which I've been piloting for the past 2 seasons in Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. So there's a lot of inputs that we are able to capture and very unique farming practices that are coming in there. And I just show a quick video of what we have launched a couple of years ago, so to just give you a feel of what this is. I hope I've been able to give you a flavor of some use cases specific to India in many of these emerging technologies. So it's most probably with this, penetration of technology, this will be happening much faster than what we think it is going to take in. So it's not just something which is relevant only for the mature economies. As we keep growing our economy to the 5 trillion economy dream, so all these technologies will be coming in, but with a very, very specific Indian context in terms of the affordability and in terms of the applications that we'll be using it for. So essentially, to summarize, digitization to technology convergence is here to stay. This will improve the efficiencies, improve the economics, and for us in terms of increase the flexibility operations and the skilled labor dependency. So while we have a lot of labor, how do you actually get it at the right time and the right skill sets, getting the safe, secure services and eventually going towards a very clear sustainable mobility. So thank you very much for your attention.